here, a suffering is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you?
Of course you do.
But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world sings in tune on a spring afternoon, when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems alright when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society. With our games, they call it impiety and lack of propriety, and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if someday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter at merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine. Me feed to a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Thurman, live on his laptop from New Orleans, Louisiana, to join the conversation. We'll just go ahead and why not? Just to make sure everything is working properly, we're just going to open up the phone lines immediately for anybody who might want to call in, especially because I didn't get the opportunity to do much show prep today. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. If you're a conservative, wants to tell me why you're still supporting Donald Trump, despite the fact that he's still supporting protecting pedophiles at the best, and at worst, protecting himself as a pedophile, call in. Try and defend it. I dare you. I've had a bad enough day as it is. You'll feel my wrath. Anyway, otherwise, anybody's free to call in, including Big Hook. Hey, Orvillaby, we were having some technical difficulties earlier today. I finally seem to have, knock on wood, getting my laptop maybe repaired. Maybe it was just a scan disk issue or whatever. I had to do the check disk or whatever. As an IT person, I shouldn't have this much problem dealing with my laptop. But, it is what it is. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I don't have to say that myself right now because I have...
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. I have that available, though. If I'm opening up the phone lines, I have to turn off the desktop audio so y'all don't have to hear the horrible, ringing that comes in from Google Voice. But yeah, you could also join us in the chats at liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com. You can support the show. The best thing to do is on YouTube to like, share, subscribe, especially share the videos that you like with your social media accounts. Let them know what you like on the show, and maybe they might like it too. We're trying to push to get 3,000 subs by the end of the year. I don't know if that's an achievable goal. I don't know if that's realistic or not, because we seem to have just come to a skidding halt as it comes to audience growth, but maybe someday we'll crack that code. I don't know. But otherwise, you can... support the show other ways. Go to Venmo, Liberal Dan on Venmo, scan the QR code. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio, or just click the Buy Me a Cider button at liberaldanradio.com, I'm sorry. Or you can go to patreon.liberaldan.com or patreon.com/liberaldan. Either way gets you there. Become a Patreon. Support me monthly. Or you can just always buy memberships, become a Liberal Danimal here on YouTube, gift other people memberships, do super chats, super stickers, etc. Or on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you anything. You can hook your Amazon Prime up to your Twitch account and then get your one free subscription a month and use that on Liberal Dan Radio over there. Or you can always buy subscriptions or gift subscriptions as well over there too, and also buy bits and everything like that to support the show. Big sigh of relief, just the fact that, I was, sky is falling, oh my God, everything's going wrong with my life, and what else is going to happen with my computer being, on death's doorstep or whatever, but knock on wood, this is the fix, and hopefully this won't be an issue for a very long time, and I won't have to be stressed about this particular thing, so I can just remain stressed about all the other things going on. Like the fact that, we can't sell. I couldn't even get into my mother-in-law's house today to be able to take pictures to a potential buyer. So, yeah. So, this just to take this one off of the list of all of the other crap that's going on in my life. Let's see. Jeff found a new Bloody Mary mix at Maynard's today. Not tried it yet. The really good Bloody Mary mix that I've had is, shockingly, even though Pat O'Brien's is known for hurricanes, but Pat O'Brien's has a really good Bloody Mary mix, and it's really good if you use it for whatchamacallit. If you use, let's see, there we go. Let's see. Can Big Hook hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
And we can hear you
good
too.
Sign.
Awesome.
Okay.
There you go. So the settings are correct with that as well. My camera's working. My headset's working. My earbuds are working. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this whole thing. So thank you for calling. Appreciate you. What's on your mind tonight, Big Hook?
So did that colonoscopy fix a lot of problems?
I don't really. See, the colonoscopy. I mean, didn't necessarily fix problems. It just didn't detect any problems. But if you use Donald
Okay, so
Trump's
you got
logic,
lucky.
if you didn't, it was just a preventative thing. If you use Donald Trump's logic, though, if you don't get a colonoscopy, you can't get colon cancer. That's Donald Trump's logic right there. Because if you test more, you have more cases, according to him with COVID. I guess Donald Trump probably never gets a colonoscopy because if according to his logic, if you don't get a colonoscopy, you can't get colon cancer or have any other rectal problems. Of course, Donald Trump is the rectal problem of the United States of America. So yeah, but
No kidding. I mean, that guy is so bad that. Remember when he went to the hospital, the military hospital, and then went in and got his supposedly checkup or whatever? He actually had his colonoscopy done with no anesthetic. I mean, because he was like, I can't relinquish power even for an hour or two to Mike Pence because, I mean, like I said, he is just.
I have a hypothesis about that. It's not that he was using that as an excuse. Maybe that's his kink, or one of his kinks. I mean, other than people peeing on him or whatever. Maybe he enjoys it.
He's been told he's such a pain in the ass. He thought maybe I should experience it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm really starting to think that you guys are looking at a division within the states at this point, because you have people who believe in government as well as international relations and everything else, and who think that, there are some decent people and that we should follow the science and go where the best solutions are and prepare for the future and everything else. And then you've got the rest who want to go back to the 1800s and want to live the life of slavery, inequality, and everything else. I mean, I can't really see how you guys are going to be able to mend fences at this point, because let's face it, like, Trump is basically a mental illness, and he has basically infected so many of the flock there, and I mean, these guys are now protecting pedos, and, that is beyond words. I mean, there was a thing there just from Texas Paul today where he said in Utah, they changed the law so that way a 17-year-old who sexually assaulted his 13-year-old cousin could only
who was related to a Republican. He's related to the government. Like, there was an issue where somebody, it says it's not retroactive, but it protects one of the either the governors or one of the high up politicians who's a Republican. It protects his child if passed, which is a very important thing to point out.
Well, I mean, we had Lauren Boebert, who apparently was going like, oh, it's just miscommunication. No, it's not my son abusing his own child. I mean, these people are sick. They are not mentally, capable of facing facts and reality. They just constantly make excuses for themselves. There's absolutely zero accountability. So if you put them in any position of power, they just simply say, "Nuh-uh." I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, these are you can't have an argument with these people because they just don't exist in the same reality. They have this other reality that they belong to where they're like, if I didn't know any better, I would say it was like multiple personality syndrome, because they pretend to be nice on the outside, and then when you get them and you corner them for their horrible actions, they go, I didn't do it. The other person inside of me did it. Oh, don't call it racism. I just hate people who are black and brown and don't look like me or speak a foreign language or, I mean,
Right.
the excuses are just beyond words. I mean, they've lost empathy, or better yet, they didn't have empathy in the beginning. And this is the thing that really bothers me is that he is doing sociopathy training. He's teaching these people to be cruel and, beyond decency or the law. I mean, he's breaking down the courts again. SCOTUS is basically, completely dismantling the system and giving him every excuse in the book to do horrible things without any accountability whatsoever. I mean, and you guys are living in a fuck them before they fuck you world now. I mean, that's the way it is. And I mean, this is what it's going to come down to, I think, with these ICE people, because they don't care. Who in their right mind could know that would go around going, oh, I'm going to collect these people with a mask on, using as high a level force as possible, and then disappear them, knowing fully well that you have just basically signed their death warrant.
Yep.
Now, who can do that? You have basically gone and said, oh, we're hiring professional serial killers.
And Superman,
and you can work for the federal government.
Because Dean Cain is apparently now a ICE official, joined ICE. And also, they also might have made it so that there's no age restrictions. So now, if you're an 80-year-old, you can join ICE now. It's absurd. This is gonna result. Peaceful protests are not working anymore. You can stand in front of them and they go, oh, well, you're obstructing a federal officer in his duties, and we will arrest you and you will be charged. And, they go, and you could have your hands behind your back and only allow them to basically go right up to your chest, and they would push you down and then put you in cuffs and then say, oh, you were resisting arrest. So where is this going to escalate? That's the question I have. Because at this point, these guys, they're unaccountable. And like I said last time, this is the problem. There is no accountability. An ICE thing or HSI thing, or even a badge with, that says whatever but doesn't have a number attached to it or a name attached to it or anything else, means that they are basically SS agents. Mm-hmm. Yes,
the
SS
Gestapo.
Agents or their brown shirts or whatever. Yeah, I mean it's the only thing that somebody brought up on, I think it was somewhere on MSNBC or whatever, but the only thing that is what I'm seeing here is that you have Donald Trump scrambling to protect the pedophiles. But people like Joe Rogan, who supported Donald Trump, are now like, this is our line in the sand. We are not going to, we do not like this. And apparently, Donald Trump's approval amongst men has dropped 10 points because of all this. And so instead of, Donald Trump releasing the files because he can't, because I'm sure the reason why we all believe he can't is because his name's all over them, and therefore it would expose him for the diddler on the roof that he is. And so what he has to do is he has to double down on everything else that the people voted him in for, to make sure that they're still supporting him. But it's very well possible that this Epstein thing could be the one thing that is like, you know what, okay, he was full of shit this whole time. And it's just taking some people a certain slow amount of time to get there. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic about that whole thing, but it would be just bizarre that, you know, the fact that, you know, Epstein organizing a pedophilia ring is the thing that actually unites the country against Donald Trump because he was part of it, potentially, allegedly, or whatever you want, whatever I need to say. But hold on, Dean Baker in the chat says Kia and a Hyundai not great. I will be having a videos on that specifically with all of the issues I had with both Kia and with Hyundai Financial. That is coming at some point soon. I just have to do it. So anyway, go ahead, Big Hook.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, where are you going to go with this? Because at this point, I mean, what was it? The Democrats from Texas who ran away so that way they could not push through the gerrymandering maps. You know, somebody went and phoned in a bomb threat to the hotels that they were staying at in Illinois. You know, I mean, and the thing is they all go, oh, well, you guys are so violent and you do all these horrible, horrible things. And it's like, why is it that there's little or no example of this and everything seems to turn on your side? You know, I mean, and you know, like, I remember when the George Floyd riots happened.
Right.
And then what ended up happening? Rittenhouse walks in. His mother goes and transports him across state lines with a weapon that he's not legally old enough to legally have.
Right.
You know, he kills 2 people. He maims another 2. And then the judge who is sitting there overseeing him has a Trump ringtone. And you're like, how is this even not, you know, controversial?
My big conspiracy theory about that whole case was that that the prosecutor was getting crap from all of the Rittenhouse supporters, basically, who were trying to say that he was a terrible prosecutor. I'm convinced that the prosecutor actually agreed with what Rittenhouse did, but had to put up some sort of trial to be able to save face.
So it was a pony show.
Right, so it was a dog and pony show, and basically say, okay, but he blew the case because he didn't make reasonable arguments as to why Rittenhouse should have, you know, because the whole thing with the guy who everyone wants to bring up the fact that he was a convicted kid toucher or whatever, the first one he shot, but I'm like, Rittenhouse didn't know that at the time, so it's not relevant to the case. You know, I don't care that, you know, a kid toucher's dead. What I do care about is the fact that Rittenhouse got away with shooting somebody and not using deadly force. And the thing was he wasn't invited. There was no businesses that were like, oh, well, we're calling for arms of decent citizens to come and protect our property or anything, right. You know. And the thing was that, as far as I know, there really wasn't anything there. It was just he came out there and decided that he was going to show off his AR-15, and you know, and they went, oh, you think that scares us? And they basically confronted him, and then all of a sudden, and what was his defense? He said, oh, they had skateboards that they were going to hit me with. And it's like, what? Right. And the whole thing is that with the whole
you could have walked away. You could have run away. You could have run towards the police, and they would have protected you rather than get into that confrontation, which he deliberately did.
Right. You in that state, the laws are specifically and very clear. You are not allowed to use deadly force to protect the property of other people. Simple as that. You are the only people who would be allowed to do that would be somebody who is actually a hired guard, or somebody if you owned the property yourself. But you are not allowed to. You can use deadly force to protect the lives of other people, but you can't use deadly force to protect the property of other people. So him being there armed, protecting, even if he was legally able to carry that gun, and that's one of the things of the prosecutor. The prosecutor, bumbled that part of the case because the wording of the law was clear, and the intent of the law was clear, because when they made some changes to the law, it was only in relation to hunting. But when it came around time to when they were talking about the guy that he first killed, Rittenhouse did, they were making all of the Rittenhouse supporters were basically saying Rittenhouse thought that he heard a gunshot, and then how would he know if the person who was now coming after him wasn't armed? When they asked him on the stand, did you believe that he was the one that shot the gun? Rittenhouse said no, that he didn't believe. So that argument goes right out the window. And then, look, if Rittenhouse believed that this guy was a threat to his safety, I mean, he did fire one shot, and then that was enough to drop him to the ground. And then he fired like how many more shots into him? That's the thing. That's my problem with all these conservative laws that they've passed, these so-called stand your ground laws, or changes that were made to self-defense laws or whatever, that basically if you raise those defenses, it used to be when you raise an affirmative defense, the onus was now on you to prove that it was more reasonable or not that your use of force to defend yourself was reasonable. Because as an affirmative defense, you're basically saying, yes, I took this action that was typically illegal. Here's why it should be considered legal. But then the onus is on the defense to do that. These conservatives have changed the laws in such a way across the nation to say no. Now, if you raise an affirmative defense of self-defense or stand your ground or whatever, it is now the prosecution who is responsible to prove a negative, which is a logical fallacy, to prove that you were not reasonable in using that force. And so that is just a travesty, because I mean, federal laws still allow, at least right now, federal laws still require that people raising affirmative defenses have to actually prove that affirmative defense. But on all these states, the affirmative defense has flipped around and become something that's now a requirement to the prosecution to disprove, which is again goes against our any sort of reasonable logic. But it was not reasonable to fire that many shots into the person who was already going down after the first one. And then you take into consideration the rest of the night. Here's these people who know that Kyle Rittenhouse just killed one person, and now he's still running down the street holding a rifle. And what? These people are not allowed to defend the other people who are around him with force? Let alone, I mean, who cares if there was a skateboard, whatever. But I could use that skateboard if that's my only thing around me to try and defend other people, because all I know, here's somebody who already killed one person, and I'm trying to prevent him to kill somebody else.
That raises the question, who knows Rittenhouse's state of mind?
Right.
Who knows his state of mind in that particular case at that particular time? You look and you see this burly teenager who's got an AR-15 and is talking shit, and all of a sudden, and you're like, oh, well, that's acceptable. And it's like, no, it's not. If anything, the police should have intervened and told him, you forfeit your weapon, and we need to get in touch with your mother. She's allowed you to commit a crime. You cannot, you should not be able to walk around in public in an open carry situation. So, number one, he didn't have a permit. Number two, what would any reasonable person think if they saw this burly kid with an AR-15 walking around and talking shit or pretending that he is, because he's been infected with the MAGA Trump psychosis, that he thinks that, I have the right to shoot liberals and defend the homeland because,
I think we said, who knows your state of mind? I could tell you what his state of mind was, because he was on camera in front of a Target with a friend of his in the thing, basically saying that if that if he had his gun on him right now, that he would shoot the looters that were coming out of the Target. Like he basically was sitting there saying how he felt that it was reasonable to shoot people who were not a threat to anybody else's life. So that already shows how he has a depraved mind. But nobody wanted to go there. Now it's weird because now I think Rittenhouse has become anti-Trump, which is strange. And now you have a lot of the pro-Rittenhouse people who are angry at Rittenhouse for the fact that he's now anti-Trump for whatever reason. But
well,
so,
you know what's happened is that he can't get into any schools because nobody will take him on. You know, he kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to school and train to be a nurse or whatever," and and like they said, "No, we don't want you here. You're going to endanger too many other students here. You're going to do You're going to create an atmosphere that is toxic to the learning environment. There is no way we could do it." I mean, the best he could hope for at this point in his life is to take an online course that might give him some sort of thing. And then he would have to find an employer who would overlook all his past actions, which is absolutely impossible because, the internet never forgets. There will always be somebody that will point and go, "That's Kyle Rittenhouse. He
right.
killed 2 people and maimed 2 others." And what do you do? Who is going to put their reputation as well as, take the chance of liability knowing that he's done it once and put him in a medical setting where he could do it again?
Right. Nobody will.
Yeah,
exactly. In order to go to a medical setting, you're supposed to do no harm. Well, there's evidence of him doing harm. Why would you risk it? There's no reason to risk it.
That's the thing that gets me. So now the biggest problem that he has now is that now he's being held civilly liable for the survivors. And he's like, "Oh my God, all that money that I got from, what's his name, from Silver Spoons, Ricky Schroeder or whatever his name was,
right.
that went and rose to his defense, is all gone." Because now he knows that, he's going to have to pay out a huge settlement, and, that ain't going to protect him. He cannot rest on his laurels. And every time he's gone to a speaking engagement at a university or a college, he gets run out of there because people say, "Oh, he's a killer," and then, I mean, but this is what America has now devolved into, where people think that they can take those actions. And now the thing is that now the federal government is pushing it to the point where, liberals must be thinking, do I take the same level of action that they are taking against these other people? Because let's face it, if these people are disappeared to a third world country currently in a state of war where they don't even speak the language, or better yet, have any family connections, I mean, and what do? "Oh, I'm going to drop you off with the clothes off your back and absolutely zero money, and you can fend for yourself."
Yep.
Now you tell me, how is somebody like that going to survive? You tell me.
Right.
Because if you're going to a third world country, everybody already just barely has enough to survive as it is, and you think they're going to go and say, "Oh, I'll give you something"? No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And that's the thing. That's why I say he is basically gone, and he's recruiting serial killers because these people don't have a conscience. They don't have any empathy. They just want to end people. And they think, "Oh, this is a great way to do it because I can do it without any blood on my hands, and it'll happen at somebody else's hands half a world away."
I think in any other administration, if you had somebody who online said that they're looking forward to seeing people at Alligator Alcatraz or Alligator Dachau, and they were cheering the fact that these people who were being sent there, like Laura Loomer, cheered on that it's 65 million meals for the alligators. You have people cheering that on. If those people applied to ICE under any other administration, that would be a disqualifying event because that would show how sick and depraved that these people are. But under Donald Trump, that's a feature, not a bug. Those are the people that he wants because he wants to kill, to unalive, to whatever people who are black or brown or whatever, because that just makes America white again, because that's what when they say make America great again, it means make America white again, and when he says make America great again, it means make the Confederate States of America great again, because they don't give a crap about the United States of America. The one thing about Kyle Rittenhouse, I will say, I do believe that all of the adults that were around him failed him that day, because they should not have allowed him to be with them to begin with. The adults in that situation should have said, you're a kid, you do not have the training available to be able to understand when or when not to use deadly force. You do not have the training available to be there to give the, render first aid, as he claimed he was there to do. If he's there to render first aid, the only thing that should have been strapped to his back should have been a first aid kit, and then let all the other people who are armed protect him while he was rendering first aid. That's what he should have been. No, he was there with a gun, specifically, in my opinion, to murder people. And
yes,
he was,
and it was premeditated. And it was premeditated based on the lies that Trump told. And that's the thing. It's the same thing as inciting a riot. He incited a vigilante. And that's the thing. This is where we're at right now. He is basically doing the same thing now. He is basically inciting vigilantes and saying, sign up for ICE. I'll give you a $50,000 bonus, and you can wear a mask and everything else. And you can drive around in these cool vehicles with blacked out windows and with out-of-state plates. And hell, some of them are using Mexican plates. And they're like, oh, well, this is our tactic to be able to creep up on these unsuspecting terrorists. And it's like, they're not terrorists, they're gardeners, they're fucking kitchen workers. These are people that are doing the jobs that nobody else will do.
Yeah, there was some person who owns a farm who was complaining about the fact that his crops are dying in the field because he can no longer find people to work. Well, Donald Trump's been deporting all of the low-hanging fruit, all of the non-violent people. So yeah, fuck around and find out, bruh. As I said, I love the find out phase. I love when the people who knew what they were voting for, got what they were voting for, and are now being basically economically punished for it. Like, I don't want the people who didn't vote for him to get punished whatsoever. But the people who did vote for him, who are now feeling the pain, good. I'm glad y'all are feeling the pain, and I hope y'all are the ones who feel the majority of the pain, because you deserve it. But here's one of the things. You know how to say...
Yeah, but the problem... Here's the other problem. The other problem, though, is that when these people who basically voted... And this is the thing. They get insulted when you say, you guys are fucking stupid. And it's like, what do you mean I'm stupid? Well, you voted to have your health care taken away. You voted to get your SNAP benefits taken away. You voted to end democracy. You put your grandpa or your grandma or your mom or your dad out on the street because all the nursing homes are going to close. You ended up managing to get all the local hospitals to close, so that way, unless your injury has a time limit of 2 hours that you can safely get yourself there, and let's face it, let's say you get put in an ambulance, you're looking at a minimum $3,000 bill for an ambulance to transport you 2 or 3 hours away to get you to an emergency room.
And here's how stupid the Republicans are, the conservatives are in Louisiana. In Louisiana, it was just announced that Planned Parenthood is closing its doors, that they are not going to be operating in Louisiana anymore. And everybody like, oh, good, no more abortions in Louisiana. There were no abortions in Louisiana happening because of the stupid draconian law that was passed that was pretty much almost the exact word for word for verbatim law as the Texas law that was requiring women who were miscarrying to risk death because the doctors were afraid to do anything. The only difference between the one in Louisiana and the one in Texas is that the one in Louisiana was worded in such a way so that it would allow the morning after pill to not be considered at risk, whereas the Texas one does. But thing is that, all these people are now cheering that Planned Parenthood is closing, because there's none of these existing Planned Parenthood ones that are closed, clinics that are closing, none of them performed abortions even when abortion was legal. They did all the other things, like, making sure that, people could get birth control pills, people could get prenatal care,
mammograms,
people could get at least referred for mammograms, if not even done there. They would get health screenings. Men could go there and get treatment for various issues as well. Planned Parenthood was there to help prevent pregnancies from happening, unwanted pregnancies from happening. And now that they're going to go away, all the people in Louisiana are going to be, or at least the conservatives are going to be magically shocked all of a sudden, because now they're going to be like, oh, unwanted pregnancies have gone up. Well, why did that happen? Because you're a bunch of fucking idiots. You don't realize that Planned Parenthood was, actually stopping abortions from happening. When Jeb Bush was governor of Florida and they defunded Planned Parenthood during his tenure, for the rest of his tenure, the abortion rate in Florida went up. Why? Because people couldn't get prenatal care. People couldn't get the care that they would need, to prevent themselves from being pregnant in the first place. People couldn't get preventive care. So people were getting more unwanted pregnancies, and as such, they were getting more abortions. And so they create the problem that they claim to hate, but the problem that their problem that they really don't like is women having control over their bodies, or people having control over their own body autonomy, making sure that individuals who are able to get pregnant can't, because they want those people to be pregnant, and because that's where they believe a woman's place is, even though, regardless.
Yeah, but here's the thing that gets me. When you walk into a doctor's office, that's supposed to be between you and your doctor. That is nobody else's business. So where do the privacy issues fall? And this, the insanity that they keep going. And there's this other lady there, her name is Ari. She made a really good point that I didn't realize. She said, in the Dobbs decision, it said that states, through the opportunity of the people and the legislative body, can decide whether or not and what the rules of abortive care will be within the Planned Parenthood centers or whatever. And she pointed out 26 states don't have the ability to put that option to the people in a referendum or a vote or as a ballot measure.
Right.
Which means 26 states don't have the option, and whoever is in charge decides. So you're shit out of luck and you got no opportunity. So, which basically means that your only option is to leave the state and go elsewhere. And then there's still the possibility that if somebody talks, you could get charged when you return. So,
and then add on top of that is that the fact that even if you want to do it through your legislators, states like Texas, other conservative states have gerrymandered their states so poorly, or so well, I guess, in the benefit of the Republicans, that they've effectively picked their voters. So a majority of the voters, like look at Wisconsin or whatever, look at some of those states up there, where the majority of the voters are, because of Project Red Map back in 2010, the majority of the voters could vote for a Democratic governor but still have Republican-controlled houses because they've gerrymandered the state legislatures so ridiculously that it allows the Republicans to have minority rule in those legislatures, which is why people want to. I'm going to record this part. People who are so worried about gerrymandering need to understand that, and I don't understand why, especially the people on our side of the aisle. The people on our side of the aisle should be realizing and should be talking about the thing that I've been talking about forever, which is that the way to eliminate gerrymandering is to eliminate districts altogether, elect slates of candidates, allow people to run under certain slates, and the amount of votes as a percentage of the state that votes for a slate, that's the percentage of the people that would be in the legislature. That way, you don't allow the state legislator to draw the lines and pick their voters. That only would allow the voters to pick their legislators, and you would be guaranteed to have appropriately represented in the states and the states legislatures. You would have people representing the people in Congress, because
which would mean everybody in the state is basically voting for the people that they like, which means that there isn't a partisan way of doing it, and it means that people from other districts could vote for that same person, and those votes would count. So therefore, the majority would be consistently counted, and the bright people would be put into those seats that have the people's confidence and their vote.
Right. I mean,
but,
in Louisiana,
that makes too much sense.
That
makes too much sense, Dan.
It does make too much
that
sense.
Makes
Louisiana is 1/3 black. Louisiana is, perhaps I would argue is 50% Democrat, except for the fact that the part between a third and a half are, those people are like really conservative blue dog type Democrats. That's how we got a Democratic governor, John Bel Edwards, because he was pro-life. He was pro-gun. He was a conservative Democrat and was able to snag just over 50% of the vote. So in a system like that, you would have 50% of the legislature and 50% of the congressional legislation being Democrats, but two of them, because we have 6 seats, at least in Congress, 2 of them would be probably left-leaning black Democrats, or at least people who would understand, issues pertaining to black people, and then one of them would be a more blue dog conservative type Democrat, and then the rest would be Republicans. And then in the state legislature, you would have sort of the same, lineup, where you'd have a third of the legislature being controlled by liberal Democrats or leftist Democrats, progressive Democrats. You'd have 1/6 of the legislature being blue dog conservative type Democrats. Then you'd have the other half being conservative Republicans, or even further to the right idiots. So, but you would have like I would ask, if you are an honest person, and I know you're a general you, because I know you're an honest person, Big Hook. But if you're an honest person and you want fairness and you want equality of the vote, of the voting power, you would say that if half the state's conservative, that half the state's representation in the legislature, be it federal or state, should be conservative. If half the state is Democratic, then half of the state's legislative representation, either federally or statewise, should be from the left. But that's not what they want. What these Republicans want, like in Texas, what they're trying to do now is they're basically trying to say, we can't win on the ideas because we're losing on this Epstein thing. So instead of winning the ideas, we're going to redraw the maps so that we can have minority rule. And if the Democrats did that, they'd cry foul. But the Republicans do it, they'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. And that's why hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite.
Well, that's just it. They can't win unless they cheat, and this is how they have always run. They realize that, economically, they got nothing to run on, because every time they get into power, they go and they give this huge tax break. The whole country goes into a fucking recession, and then, they go, oh, we don't understand what happened. You kept telling us every time that we do what we do that things would fall apart and the system would just crumble and people would lose their lives, their homes, their benefits, their, everything. And we can't figure out what happened. We wrote legislation that took all those things away from these people to give it to the billionaires, and nothing good came out of it. We can't figure out what went wrong. And it's like, and this is the thing. And these people vote for these fuckers, which is infuriating, because they like I said, they shoot themselves in the foot. And more often than not, if they don't hit themselves in the foot, they fucking miss, and they end up hitting somebody else, some other innocent soul a lot down the line who did nothing to create the mess that you're in the first place. And, they want to gerrymander the map so that way Jasmine Crockett doesn't even live in the same district that she would be eligible for.
Well, here's the weird thing. In many states, that's not a requirement. You're not required to live in your own district, which is weird. But still, who's going to vote?
Same thing. So many of them live in Florida.
You're going to still draw out, like, for example, it used to be the case in Austin that like they would basically they carved up Austin in such a way, and they're doing it where now they're going to do it to Dallas and other places, so that even though Austin was 100% blue, that all of the representation for Austin was red, because they took a little piece of Austin and threw it in with a bunch of red voters, and then another little piece of Austin and threw it in with a bunch of red voters. Lather, rinse, repeat. You basically disenfranchise all the voters of Austin because they can't have representation that represents them because they don't want to give them their say. Where in reality, they should have several representatives in Austin who represent Austin who are all Democrats, because every single elected official within the Austin city limits are Democratic. But they don't want that because they don't want to operate in a fair and equitable way. So.
But I mean, you guys have lost your fucking minds. I mean, you fucking defunded PBS. You know, one of the few independent sources with no political bias whatsoever that reported the news as it was and allowed you to form your own opinion. And they did in-depth reporting, whether it be through Frontline or any of the other shows that were out there. They put out educational material that would better the American public, whether it be in health ways or exercise ways or children's programming in the morning and stuff. And you fucking shut that down. And
but that's the problem is that you have, according to like MAGA folks and Republican folks, if you give unbiased truth and just let people have the truth and let the people form their own opinions, that's a leftist way of thinking. Right? That's the thing. If you're not locked in bootstep and repeating and regurgitating the lines of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, you're a liberal. You're a leftist. So if you just unbiased reporting to them is still leftist liberal thought.
Yeah, but you know, the MAGAs basically have like two brain cells left, and they're both fighting for third place. You know, that's how bad it is. You know, they just do not get it. They do not get it. They harm themselves, they harm others around them, and they go, I wasn't responsible. And it's like, yes, you were. You voted. Yep. You know, and what was it before? You guys used to have the thing, and that was like, well, they originally wanted like only landowners to have the ability to vote. Because they thought, well, if they're a landowner, they might be smart enough to understand the issues and vote with, you know, in their own best interest as well as for the majority of people. And this is the thing. These people don't care. They're using politics as a weapon against their perceived slight enemies. You know, and it's like, this is what gets me. Because a person speaks Spanish doesn't mean that you can say, oh, they're unintelligent.
Right.
You know, you can't tell. But if I say, you're not intelligent enough to learn Spanish to figure out whether or not they actually are intelligent or what their skills are or what their values are, you have prejudged something, a book, without a cover. And you have already prejudged it and not even read the first fucking page. And you want to go, oh, well, I'm smart. You know, I'm superior. And it's like, you're not superior. You've got nothing to stand on. You have your beliefs, which aren't based in fact, have absolutely no evidence to back up what it is that you do. And I mean, where do you go with that? You know, how does that other one go? It goes, the problem is if you're wrestling with a greased pig, the pig enjoys it, but you get absolutely nowhere. You know, and this is the way it is with these people. They when you catch them in a thing, then they go, oh, and they go, oh, you caught me in a lie, or you caught me in a bad situation. Let's do the whataboutism and then deflect and then go there and then say, well, it's a difference of opinion, you know, and it's like, no. What it is I have facts to support everything that I say, and you have none.
Yep. And
as a result, you're ashamed that you look stupid, but then your get-out-of-free card is, well, it's a difference of opinion, you know. I mean, it's like, what have these people done to you? What has a black person ever done to you? You've been fed a whole
Existed?
bunch of horseshit lies that they
To
are
them,
evil, violent
existing.
people.
I mean, they don't like black people existing. They don't like black people living. They, black people have a cookout and they call the cops because they're having fun and they're playing music that they don't like a little bit louder than they might want to hear, so they actually have to hear some other culture, and they don't like they like their culture unseasoned. So,
But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's these people are absolutely horrible, and the thing is that they are content being ignorant, which means that you're not superior, you're inferior, because you have decided that, it's like saying everything I needed to know I learned in kindergarten, and that's as far as I went in school. Like, that is beyond relevant. Yes, you will learn certain things in kindergarten, such as morals and ethics, learning how to share with other people, seeing people for who they are, because you're put in a setting where multiple people and everybody will have certain personalities as well as their deficiencies and whatnot. But that's the thing. It's a learning environment where you learn to get along with everybody, where you learn to share with everybody. You learn who is good at certain things and who is good at other things, and, you build a community based on that. And that's the thing. These people don't want a community anymore.
oh, that's
what's
just
going to
crazy
happen?
Canadian thinking right there. Just kidding.
Yeah, but that's what's gone on. Like, I was guilty of some of it as well. But, the thing is that, I used to say, oh, well, but what we have up here in Canada sometimes, which happens, is that we get immigrants up here who think, oh, well, we should skirt the rules and buck the system that's currently here. The basic tech bros thing of destroy everything and start all over from scratch. Mm-hmm. And, and it's bad thinking. So, for example, up here in the trucking industry here, we had a lot of immigrants that came over and decided, oh, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this and that and the other thing. And what ended up happening is we found out that they were taking all these shortcuts. So we had multiple drivers who all looked and had the same last name on the driver's license and whatnot. And they weren't doing the proper maintenance and whatnot with the trucks and whatnot. And we had a couple of catastrophic accidents that happened and whatnot. And, and the thing was is that they kept driving the wage down to the point where they weren't helping anybody. They were competing by undercutting everybody else, but in doing so, they earned themselves a horrible reputation that, had more than ample evidence of doing harm. And they went, oh, well, this is what we do in our country. And it's like, well, you're not in your country anymore. You have to follow the guidelines that are here. If you're good at your job, you'll get a job in that industry. But you can't say, oh, well, it's an easy job, and in my country we do things like this. And it's like, no, you don't. You follow the rules and regulations that are set there for the safety of the general public, and you follow those rules. There is no end, And that's the thing, right? Like, and as a result, all the driver's manuals and everything else are laid out in their language available. So that way they don't have an excuse to say, oh, well, I didn't know. It's no. You do know, because you had to pass a test. You had to drive. You had to read the manual. You had to do a written test. You had to do everything so that way you are safe to be on the road.
I mean, there was something similar I saw about, them fighting the, things that they're like citizenship tests should only be in the language. It should only be in English. There shouldn't be citizenship tests in other languages. I'm like, okay, fine. But in order, anybody who votes to change citizenship test laws should have to also be able to pass the citizenship test. Because otherwise, I don't want to hear crap about whether or not, because I guarantee you that the people passing the citizenship test in Spanish,
Okay.
in Chinese, in Japanese, or in other languages, that aren't English, they probably will get a much higher score on average than the average MAGA idiot who is a xenophobe and doesn't want non-white people in their country.
Okay, but here's my point is that, okay, I sort of fell in this category where it was being told to me that, oh, you're being racist. And I was like, no, I'm not being racist. I'm being, within society, there are societal rules that allow us to live in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you follow the rules that are set out in society for the safety of all, you're not going to run into any problems. And that's just it. And the thing is that over the last 20 years, we've had new immigrants who have come in here, and they are highly educated. And they like the system here because guess what? If you're good at your job, you're good at your job, and you will always have work here. And that's just it. It's not like this before. We still have the problems where they don't recognize their education from overseas or from other countries in certain ways. But there are ways to basically get back within the system. So for example, if you have a medical degree from India, you can basically come over here, but you only get credit you can write an entrance exam, and if you pass it, you'll get credit for your first 2 years, and then you can basically have to repeat the last 2 years just to get your GP and then move on to residency on whatever specialty it is that you wish to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, the system here works. I mean, yes, some people say it's unfair because you have to start all over from the beginning, but it's like, it's
one of the
safety.
I was just about to say that. Like, if you have certain requirements that in one country and the other country doesn't have the same requirements, then it's understandable that you might want to make sure that the people who are practicing medicine specifically, like, very specifically, you might want to make sure that that you're going to meet the same threshold in this that you have for this country than you would back there. Because if the country that you're getting your medical degree in doesn't have the same standards and might allow people who wouldn't be allowed to pass here, then I think it's a reasonable safety standard to make sure that you can guarantee us that you're going to pass the safety standards that are required here. So it's one of the reasons why we don't necessarily have reciprocity in America, on food quality standards. Like, if you there was an issue down here in Louisiana back when Hurricane Katrina happened. You had other countries that wanted to contribute their own versions of the MREs that their soldiers would eat, but because their countries didn't have the same food quality standards that we have here in America, that the American government was very hesitant to say, oh, well, we'll still give out those food because people need to eat, but you have to weigh that against, well, what if their food quality standards aren't as good, and then our people get sick because we allowed food to be served to, even for free, to the people who need to eat, but who we're not making sure that their meals that are ready to eat are the same quality of the ones that we generate here. Now, of course, our MREs aren't necessarily the greatest either, and they definitely have super high caloric intake for reasons, because when you're serving in the military out in the middle of the desert, you might need much more calories than you are if you're surfing your couch, after Hurricane Katrina, waiting for everything to be rebuilt. But that being said, there are some arguments to be made about, I think we even rejected the British MRE variants, and it's like, well, I would think that while the British food may not be as flavorful as our food, you'd think that the British would have reasonable standards for food safety as opposed to other places. But I get your general point, and I agree with your general point that if you can't guarantee that the people who are passing your medical schools in your country are having to meet the same standards as the people that are passing from our medical schools, then all that's going to do is going to encourage people to leave the country, go to those other schools that don't require as much as it comes to education, and then come back here, and then you lower the quality of medical care here. So it's reasonable to say you have to prove that you can meet our standard of medical care before actually practicing medicine here. So it's a reasonable thing, and it's definitely not whatever. I agree with you.
Yeah, and to stay on the same topic, the other thing is that he removed. Trump went and yanked all the additional funding that was available for people who wanted to get into medical school, who were attempting to do it, because he basically said, "Oh, we will only allow so much for a loan," and it's like the costs to go to medical school are extravagant, and so that means that he's basically saying, "Oh, only if you're rich are you allowed to go to medical school, because you will have the resources necessary to cover the cost to go into the field of medicine." And then you had the other slap in the face today from RFK. He basically said, "Oh, well, we're no longer going to do the vaccines anymore. The
right.
mRNA vaccines, and we're going to remove, what was it, $500 billion from medical research for vaccines and other things, because I don't think it's necessary. If you drink raw milk now, you could
500 million.
You'll be healthier rather than die in a hospital like a whole bunch of people in Florida did just recently.
If only we had a way to make sure that milk was safe to eat, or safe to drink, safe to ingest, or whatever. If only there was a way. But to some people, that way would just make themselves visible, but then would just go past your eyes.
Like I said, I really worry about what your country is becoming. And the thing is that unless the Democrats step up and are willing to cheat as much, if not worse, than what the Republicans are in terms of the gerrymandering, and regain some control there, and then there's no guarantee that Trump will even do what the Congress or the Senate says, because he has decided that, I got the Supreme Court in my back pocket, and I can just bring it to them, and they'll say, well, now I don't know. We'll put a stay, and we'll think about it for 6 months, and then come back with a decision. By that time, you can do all the damage you want. By saying you can continue your madness till we come up with a decision, And it's like, this is horseshit. And it was the same thing. What's her name? Kagan came out and said that the shadow docket is being abused because they're not giving any guidelines for which the lower courts can operate under the understanding of how they came to a decision or whatnot. John Roberts is, he's been fucking around with that now, so that way, the whole system is fucked from top to bottom now, and this is the thing. There aren't enough lawyers in the country to deal with all this shit.
Right.
And, every day it's Trump causing another lawsuit to be filed against him. And, and he keeps going, it's executive orders or emergency powers and this, and it's like, there is no fucking emergency. There is no invasion of America. There is nothing that was so bad that it needed immediate action. And you guys are going to spend all that money on fucking ICE when you could have put it towards things like health care. You could, the other argument that now falls into the anti-Semitism argument now is that, we give Israel like $250 billion a year or whatever, and it's like, and they get free health care. They're allowed to have abortions. They're allowed to do everything. And we just give it to them.
Yep.
And like everything is being weaponized, and, it's madness. It's like you guys have a really bad case of syphilis.
Well,
Only it's white supremacy.
Have you heard? There is an epidemic of syphilis literally going on in Mississippi right now. Like there are elevated cases of syphilis going on in Mississippi, and I'm guessing it's through incest. I don't know, but holy crap, yes, there is literally skyrocketing cases of syphilis going on in Mississippi right now.
Well, like I said, I don't know what to think anymore because none of this stuff makes sense. It's like there are only certain safe states to be able to travel through, but with your federal goons now going through operating under the premise of ICE and HSI, there is no safe place. Like, why on earth would any Canadian risk being thrown into a detention center and being sent to a third world country?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Olympics that are supposed to be held here, if they pulled out, because why on earth would any athlete from any other country, especially Hispanic countries, risk coming to the United States? Why would anybody risk that? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, same thing with the World Cup.
Right.
They're talking already that maybe they'll just play all the games in Mexico and Canada, and that's it.
Yep. And I wouldn't blame them.
Because
250 Kilo Ohm over on Twitch wants to know how do you stay so well informed? You're very well informed. Of course, my response was you listen to Liberal Dan Radio, duh. But also, Big Cliff also lives in Canada, where they're actually like to have good information distributed to the people who live there, as opposed to United States.
I listen to a lot of voices. I listen to Texas Paul. I listen to Hal Sparks. I listen to you. I listen to Politics Girl. I listen to what's his name, Andrew Davis or whatever, and Ron Filipowski, I think it is. Midas Touch is doing some marvelous work out there. Everyone is sort of, operating on pins and needles. I'm really disappointed that the MSM have completely failed the nation, because like CBS and ABC and all these places, and I am honestly wondering if The View will be gone next year.
That's possible. I mean, I am honored that I am in that group of very popular, successful people that you listen to. Like, you listen to all those people and me, which makes me
but you're company. The only person that I know that can off the top of his head quote it verbatim. Like, I swear you have an eidetic memory that allows you to just or either that or your AI is working really fast, because you're just, I don't know, maybe you are reading it from the screen for all I know, but but that's the thing. You complete all the gaps that I'm missing on so many things, and I mean, that's the thing. There is so much shit flying out there in the internet, and it's impossible to keep up with all of it. I mean, every time I think I find another creator who basically has another point of view or has more videos out there that expose the problems that the U.S. is, delving into, the depths of hell, and I can't look away, because I know that there's just so many innocent people that are going to get hurt.
Right.
And the thing is that outside of maybe if some of these immigrants have saved enough money and can manage to get out of the country safely and go to a safe place, maybe there's some hope.
Right.
But, like, Canada can't take them all. Mexico can't take them all. So I don't know where the hell they're all going to go. And this is just it. They've made a permanent home in your country, and they have been the best citizens because they don't ask for anything in return. They take shitty wages. They take, they live oftentimes in houses with 20 to 25 people in a house, and somehow they make it work. And it's like,
I do have to say though, I hopefully I clipped it right on Twitch, because I did have to clip where it was like, you're the only one who can do that, because I'm going to use that if I make a clip of things that I want to talk about on the show. I'm going to use that if I have like a commercial, like that's going to be like the ringing endorsement of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left is right. Is that I of all of those people that you referred to, that I'm the only one who's able to do that. I will take that compliment every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So.
Well, you deserve it. I mean, that's the thing. You're on top of things. You're not turning away, and you're shining light on the wickedness that is currently out there, trying to turd polish itself as just politics,
right?
Difference of opinion. You know, the horse shit that the Republicans, you know, wallow in, which is, you know, they don't. And that's the thing. Like, I think at this point, and this is really dark, that you guys are in a 20-year plan of eugenics. You're basically going to go because once all the immigrants are gone, who's going to be next? It's going to be all the people that disagree with the billionaires.
No.
It's going to be all the people that, you know, and they're going to figure out ways to round you up, because what'll happen, I mean, like the homeless thing, they're going to say, oh, well, now, and they said it already, oh, federal agencies will go and take the homeless and put them in these, and it'll be the same thing. It'll be the same ICE detention centers, you know, and it's going to be the same thing over and over and over again.
Somewhere,
you know?
they will find a way to find a way to put the Jews in there. I mean, the Jews always find a way to get themselves put into the or to have themselves thrown into the camps or whatever, because that's what the world has a history of doing. But you know, yeah, everything. Yeah, I mean, it's and here's again what I said earlier in the show. I don't know if you caught this comment I made earlier in the show, but like, you know, when you go far enough to the left, you get your guns back, is what a lot of people on the left will tell you. But if we start realizing that the only way to combat this is through violent resistance, and the people who are to the left of the center, be it left of centrists or people who are liberals or progressive or leftists, if enough of us are like, you know what, we need to arm up because that's the only way that we're going to tell them, and then what'll happen is then Donald Trump will be like, we have to start taking away the guns. And then all the conservatives will be like, well, he's right. We need to start taking away the guns because we trust Donald Trump to protect us. And then it's going to be just, again, because hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite.
Well, he's already incorporating the military to do these actions. So basically your military has now been is going to be turned on you.
Right.
And, you know, and what's going to happen? People are going to say, no, I refuse to do that. That's an illegal act. And then they'll be dismissed. You know,
right.
And I mean, this is just it. He's basically, he's gone and taken the sorting hat from Harry Potter and is basically trying to create even further division amongst the country. So that way he can decide who's my enemy and who's with me. And this is just it. You know, I mean, these idiots think that he is unifying the country when, in fact, he is completely dividing the country. And he is going to create a shitstorm that it will take you 20 to 30 years to get out of. I mean, you guys failed on the one really, really important issue, which was universal health care. Because if you have universal health care, guess what? That means you can go after any job. You can leave your own shitty job, which has shitty health care, to go for a better job, you know, because if you have universal health care, you don't have that hanging over your head. You don't have to take that cut in your life to be able to do better for yourselves. And you guys fucked that up. Everywhere else across the world, we have figured it out. We do it better. We do it cheaper. We do it more efficiently. Preventative care catches things early so that way people live longer. And you guys fucked that up. And then on top of that, they put the responsibility of your preventative care and the ability to see when things are going wrong on your shoulders. So that way you go, oh, gee, I'm starting to have trouble breathing and my heart feels like it's running 100 miles an hour, and oh, I guess I better go to the emergency room, when you could have solved the problem a lot sooner had you had proper preventative medical care in the past and gone to a doctor on a regular basis and done all the things that are necessary to be the best that you could possibly be within society. And I mean, that's Canadians look at you guys and we go, you're fucking idiots. You people that go, oh, I prefer private insurance. No, you don't.
Nope. Not one bit. I can tell you all my issues that I've been having this year partially were because of private insurance. Now, I mean, my insurance is not that bad comparatively to the rest. But look, when I ran for Congress in 2004, one of the main parts of my platform was to guarantee everybody covered preventive care. 2004.
Well,
I
until
ran
you
on
get
that. So I was well ahead of the
until
curve
you
on
get
that one.
money out of politics and you get people like Joe Lieberman the fuck out of the whole thing, and you get rid of people like Manchin and Sinema out of there, who are also in the pocket for pharmaceutical companies as well as insurance companies. You're not gonna be able to do that. All the dark money floating around and everything else has completely corrupted your system, and you are basically now a third world country where they say, oh, well, we give insurance to the smart people, the ones that we think are worthy of it, and the rest of them, oh, fuck them. You know, and now they said, oh, well.
Anymore.
And the thing is that now you're going to take away the Medicare, and you're going to take away, you know, all the fall gaps away. So what's going to happen now? This is what I meant when I said you guys are literally going through a eugenics phase in your country now, because the billionaires are deciding who's worthy and who isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what's really worrying, because the rest of the world has gone and taken the step to say, oh, well, you can't be denied health care, you know. And you can't walk into an emergency room and walk out with a $2 million bill hovering over you, and that you would have to sell your house, your vehicle, everything, and start all over from zero. You know?
Right.
Only in America. Land of the free. Free dumb people.
Yeah, with a capital D-U-M-B, capital dumb. Anyway.
You know...
I do have a couple of things I have to do because I have to do some paperwork before my doctor visit tomorrow. But I was actually
I enjoyed this extensive communication with you.
I had no ability to do any show prep because I was too busy trying to fix my damn computer. So I'm very happy to let you talk and have the good conversation. I mean, it did allow me to bring up a whole bunch of stuff for the past that I remember, but still. Let's see, Tim Farrell in chat. Peter Thiel dream is becoming a reality. Yeah, that's a fever dream that's becoming a nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll let you go. I thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns. I mean, I'm in a safe place, so people will probably argue that, oh, you don't have the right to complain about our country, and it's like, I only want what's best for you guys.
Right.
I see what we have, and I think to myself, why the fuck don't you have what we have? Honestly.
People outside of the country want America to actually be great because we kind of can elevate the rest of the world, except for on issues of healthcare. But we're not great. We are receding into the abyss, into the depths of hell, into a dystopian horror film because of how we vote, and we vote very stupidly. But you are a good voice of reason. I appreciate you calling all the time, and look, I appreciate that I'm the only one that could set them straight and remember that, and my memory's great. Look, I will take that every day of the week again and twice on Sunday. So
I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me. So the feeling's mutual. I mean, that's the thing. Great minds think alike. Although there's probably argument to be made that my mind isn't very great, but I feel
than
you
the
definitely
vast majority
qualify.
of this country, especially the vast majority especially those who voted for the Orange Cheeto Man. So anyway, Let's see, 21st Century Suffragist, 4 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, go check them out as well as the other people. Go check out, Trucker John, everybody else. Anyway, so thank you very much, Big Hook. Appreciate you, and you have a great rest of your night. And I know I'll be on Monday and Wednesday of next week, and we'll have to see if I can hobble up the stairs for the next Monday after my knee repair. But I'll definitely be on, assuming my computer stays working for the next 2 days. I may be on Nerdy Dan tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes, because I didn't get to stream last night because of my computer issues. But anyway,
yeah.
Thank you again so much,
work.
Big Hook.
I have to work, so it's sort of funny. This week I ended up getting 2 days off because we had our BC day on Monday, and then my day off is on Wednesday. So it's sort of funny how it worked out this week. I had an extra day off for the month, which is always a blessing. Anyway.
250 kilograms says break a leg. I'm like, I hope they don't go. I hope it doesn't go that bad with the procedure. Anyway, thank you so much, Big Hook. You have a good rest of your night, and talk to you later.
Okay, you too. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Big Hook. Big Hook. Of course, what is it? Jeff says liberal Dan and Uranus is very liberal, and I'm like, wait a second, Uranus is liberal. My whole body is liberal, let alone my anus. So, ha 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 ha. Anyway, thank you all so much for patiently waiting around for me to get my computer fixed. I'll have to, be very grateful to the individual who told me what commands to go look up, and that actually led me down the road of finding a couple of others. But yeah, so far so good. Knock on wood. If anything big happens, I may very well come on the air as well, and try and get that taken care of too, and if do another special episode of Liberal Dan Radio. But unless that happens, we'll probably see you again Monday. Again, knock on wood, if my computer's still working fine. But until next time I see y'all, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for being patient, and for all of your support, and my almost near breakdown, I guess, earlier today when I tried to post that one video saying about how horrible everything was going, because I was afraid that I wouldn't be on the air ever, or at least in the near future, at least for any sort of regular type of show. But we're here, we're back, and hopefully the computer won't screw up anymore sometime in the near future. So thank you all very much. Wish me luck for my tests tomorrow. Hopefully the testing tomorrow goes well, and we'll go from there. So till next time, thank you very much. Have a great one. Peace.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan Radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan Radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
First you get down on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, 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 genuflect. Do whatever steps you want if you have cleared them with the pontiff. Everybody say his own. Huey, hey, a layer song, doing the Vatican rap. Get in line in that processional, step into that small confessional. They're the guy who's got religional, tell you if your sin's original. If it is, try playing it safer. Drink the wine and chew the wafer. 2, 4, 6, 8. Time to transubstantiate. So get down upon your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Make a cross on your abdomen, we're in a row, do like a Roman. Ave Maria, damn it's good to see ya. Getting ecstatic and sorta dramatic and doing the Vatican rap.